All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 7.5. We're starting right triangles and trigonometry. This is just part of trigonometry. There is somebody just asked me about a whole class you can take on trig. That is true. They do not offer one right now. I think there's a semester class that they're talking about offering. But most of what you need to know for trig, you'll learn right here in geometry. So let's talk about what trigonometry means. If you have something to say, I would love for you to raise your hand and volunteer. Otherwise, you need to not talk. This table over here, I'm not sure who it was that's talking.
At least we'll be talking about math.
Okay, that's great, but I want to hear about it. Yes, Dana. Okay. 3.
That's fine.
Wow.
Try does mean 3. What is ganami? Ganu. That's a totally different thing, Zayla. Anybody got a guess?
Triangles. Or right triangles.
Yes.
Shapes.
Nope.
Squares.
It's just angle. What does metry mean?
Symmetric.
Symmetric does have that word metry at the end. Metry. Measure. 3, angle, measures. All right. Now I want you to move down. It's going to go away. Sorry about that. Again, that's 3, angle, measures. And we are going to draw a right triangle in the space below and label the angles like A, B, C. And then you're going to pick an angle. So draw a triangle, right triangle, everybody right now. On their paper. Draw a right triangle. Label it A, B, C. Label the angles A, B, C. Okay? You should have one of the angles be a right angle. You can't pick that one. Pick one of the other two. So, for example, if C is your right angle, you can't pick C. If B is your right angle, you can't pick that. Pick one of the other ones. Okay? And now tell me the side that's opposite from that, the side that's adjacent to that, and the side that's the hypotenuse.
Wait, okay, so what is it?
You pick one of these angles, one of the acute angles, and then you tell me what side is adjacent to it, what side is opposite it, and what side is the hypotenuse. So pick an angle, circle that angle, so I know which one you chose. Which one's the hypotenuse? That should be easy. Then you're going to tell me which one's adjacent to that angle, which one's opposite that angle. Okay, I'm going to do example on the board. You ready? Doesn't matter if yours labeled different than mine. I'm going to label this angle A, this one B, and this one C, and I'm going to choose C. Okay, well the hypotenuse is easy. It should be the same for everybody. It's across from your 90-degree angle. Okay, opposite C. So I'm looking up here. I see C, and I want to go opposite it. OPP. Okay, so what would be adjacent? Right here. Okay, we know it's adjacent because if I'm looking at side B to C, C is included. How do we feel about this? You've got to be able to do this. This is the most important part. Be able to label it opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Okay, now we're going to go about the trig ratios. All right. I get asked this all the time. Miss Murphy, is this hard? Miss Murphy, is this easy? Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. I personally think trig is super easy if you know the difference between opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, because it's just setting up formulas and then plugging it in. That's it. That's all trig is. So let's talk about it. A trig ratio is a ratio of the length of two sides of a right triangle. The three basic trigonometric ratios are sine, cosine, and tangent, which are abbreviated as sin, S-I-N, cos, C-O-S, and tan, T-A-N. Sine, cosine, tangent. The angle that your line of sight makes with a line drawn horizontally is called the angle of elevation. Okay, so we're going to let this triangle right here in your paper, triangle ABC, be a right triangle. We're going to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of A. Okay, so these are the ratios. The sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse. So it's the side opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is the sine adjacent over hypotenuse. And then finally, tangent is opposite over adjacent. Okay? And it depends which angle we're looking at, right? Okay. Questions so far? So we've got sine, cosine, tangent. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, opposite over adjacent. So the hardest thing is remembering those formulas. So we're going to talk about a way to remember them. Okay? So one way to remember them, a lot of people remember SOHCAHTOA. Okay? SOHCAHTOA. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. And tangent, opposite over adjacent. So how are you going to remember SOHCAHTOA? Here are three possibilities. Some of her children are having trouble over algebra. And see how I underlined the letters that you remembered? This is like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. You know, what is it? Parentheses, exponents, x of multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So this is SOHCAHTOA, sine opposite over. So some of her children are having trouble over algebra. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. Another one is some old horse caught another horse taking oats away. I like this one. Some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on apples. School appropriate. So, you need to come up with, I'm going to give you 3 minutes, one on your own that uses SOHCAHTOA. And then we're going to share them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's raise your hand if we want to share. Yes, Dana.
Some of her cats and horses talk over Anna.
Okay. Anybody else? Zayla?
Some of Hannah's children are hot tamales over Anna.
Anybody else? Yes.
Some old hoes can alter vehicle territory.
Oh, that's not.
It's a garden tool.
It's a garden tool. She wasn't talking about.
I thought she meant the
We can make anything inappropriate or appropriate.
Hey, I'm about to write
Okay.
this down.
So, you guys just like it because it's right on the borderline, huh? Okay. You need your calculator out in front of you. This is really important because if your calculator doesn't work right, you can't get it right on your quiz. So everybody needs a calculator. So if you don't have one, make sure you get a calculator. Okay. We are going to put in our calculator all of these numbers and see if we come up with the same answers. Because they need to be in degrees, not radians. Radians is a different form to find angles in. Okay, So you have your pretty calculators, right? So you're going to go to a calculator page. Everybody's there? Yes. Yes. Calculator page. I know. But I want to do this. Okay, we've got to figure out how to find sine, S-I-N. Okay, so looking at your calculator, does anybody see S-I-N? Does anybody see something that might say trig? Okay. Yes.
Under the control button and the trig button.
Oh.
No. I'm sorry. Okay. So under the control button, or under the yellow button, there's the word trig. Click on trig. Everybody's there? Because you're talking right now, and that's upsetting.
No, we're good.
Okay. Under the control button, you see the word trig, and we're going to click on sine. Not sine with a -1, that's inverse. We'll talk about that next week. We're looking at sine.
Control.
Under the big yellow button, it says sine, and then we're going to type in 10.
So wait, we get control and trig. And then 10.
You don't even have to hit.
You don't hit control, it's under the control button.
Oh, sine.
Press in then.
And then 10. Right?
What?
Now what?
Sin and 10. And we're going to talk about what we're supposed to be getting.
We get equal.
Hit equals, yes.
I got a negative 0.5.
Yeah, that's a problem.
4021.
Okay,
I got the same thing.
so that is not correct. That is in radians. Okay, so wait, just wait. I'm glad you're excited. I want to make sure it works. Hold on 1 second. So you need to go back to your menu page.
Menu.
Then you go down to settings. Number 5. Yep.
Probability. It says probability too.
Oh, we go to the home page, you mean? The
Yeah.
home page?
It should look the home page. Click the home button.
And then what?
Go to settings.
Okay.
Settings.
Under settings, go to general.
Oh, okay.
Where?
Hey, I don't have general.
I don't got you.
You put settings again? Is that what we're talking about?
Talking about car insurance?
Yeah, we don't have any general.
Hold on. Mine has to calm now. Hold on. We're going to pause this because we do not need this whole thing being recorded. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once you get that sine is 0.1736 approximately, you're going to round to the 4 decimal places. Go ahead and do the rest of the ones, A through H, while I'm walking around. If you have sine of 10 is 0.1736, if you round it for 4 decimal places, go ahead and do the other ones. If not, raise your hand and I will come around and help. Look at this again. So I think one of the problems is what I mean by rounding to 4 decimal places. Okay, so why don't we try this one together? Please have your calculator out. Go to your pretty calculator page. We're going to hit trig. Even if you've done this already, please do it again. Trig cosine 38. Do you get 0.78888011? Okay, so I'm going to go 4 decimal places over, which is, so I have 0.7880. What's the number right after the 0? So do I go up or do I stay the same? Okay. Now we're going to go to trig tan 44. I get 0.965. Do I put a 6 or a 7? 7, because it's got an 8 right after it. And then I've got sine of 74, which is 0.9613.